to all my fans that were following me yesterday. Netflix had an outage and it has nothing to do with me. It was a reflection on Netflix. Netflix had an outage, and for some reason, because this is the first time in history that Netflix was promoting a boxing event, and there was a lot of people streaming. It had a lot of different, uh, you know, it had a lot of different effects on the event because the event had a lot of streaming, and when you have a lot of people streaming, it's going to affect the quality of the fight. You know, you're not going to be able to see it as well. But people were saying in the comments that there was a outage on Netflix. So Netflix, it was a lot of in and out, and we couldn't see. I missed like one round, but we couldn't see the whole fight. But I saw like 95% of the fight, and I feel like Netflix should be ashamed of themselves for not really giving us the quality that we wanted to see. Like, you know, they should have been prepared for that. I guess it was too much for them. It was the first time that we're going to put a boxing event on Netflix. Netflix has like 296 million viewers, I think, and it's affordable for people. And they feel like with Netflix, they were going to be able to give people boxing quality and cheaper for, you know, more affordable. But the boxing wasn't quality. The only thing that was quality was the undercard. Bruce Carrington from Brownsville, Brooklyn, he had a great performance. I think that was quality. The Barrios fight, the Barrios fight versus Ramos fight was good. It was a lot of back and forth, but it wasn't the matchup that I wanted to see. But it was entertaining boxing. They both knocked each other down, and I feel like there was a lot of back and forth. And considering Barrios was actually physically bigger than he was actually bigger than Ramos, I feel like Ramos really made a good account of himself coming back, and he made the fight even more even. But I still think Barrios won. And my thing is, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to the channel. Tony also knows boxing. I apologize to the fans for not being able to give you the full fight. How you doing? How you doing? Kelly Duff, how you doing? Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. I feel like this was in part a bittersweet because the main event was a disappointment to real boxing fans. I feel like Jake Paul, is all about business, and he has MVP promotions, most valuable promotion, which I'm not sponsoring. I'm just calling it out. Most valuable promotions gives the boxers control, creative control over their fights, and I feel like they basically control the narrative for what they want. And I feel like they purposely chose Mike Tyson because Mike Tyson's a legend, and he has a good history, pedigree, boxing pedigree, and they're gonna try to exploit whatever they can. These trolls like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, all they do is exploit the integrity of boxing. They use old has-beens that don't have the same abilities, but they have a great, pedigree in boxing, like Mike Tyson. He's a world champion that was established in his heyday. He did a lot, and I feel like it's unfair to give Jake Paul credit for beating a 58-year-old Mike Tyson who was a shell of himself. But I still give Mike Tyson credit for still holding his own. Jake Paul wasn't able to knock him out or obliterate him. If you bet on Mike, no, I didn't bet on nobody. I bet it. I didn't bet money. I didn't bet money. I had a bet with my son, but it wasn't money. It was a principle behind the bet. The bet moving forward said if you bet on Mike, that would be expected. Well, I didn't really bet any money, so I don't consider it a real bet. My son won the bet, so now I have to get my son a Juice World hoodie and a McDonald's meal. Well, I'm going to keep my word, but at the end of the day, this is a circus in boxing. And I feel like Eddie Hearns he has Amanda Serrano as not Amanda Serrano. He has Katie Taylor as his boxer, and I feel that he has more influence than Jake Paul when it comes to his fighters. So he's not going to allow Katie Taylor to lose to Amanda Serrano. When it was clear that it was so clear that Amanda Serrano defeated Katie Taylor. She with the cut and everything. She still outlanded her and outperformed Katie Taylor. But when it comes to boxing politics, it's all about the promoters controlling the narrative, and they're gonna protect their fighters and their investment, and it's all about business. And I feel like that's what happened between Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. And I didn't bet on that fight. I didn't bet any money on the main event, but it was just more of a moral bet. And obviously my son won. But I feel like it's a disservice to boxing to use a legend like Mike Tyson, who's accomplished so much in his career and he's fought so many great fighters, and to put his legacy on the line by fighting Jake Paul in an exhibition match, really what it looked like to me. But I feel like Tyson was a shell of himself, and I don't give credit to Jake Paul for beating Mike Tyson because he's fighting somebody who's a shell of himself and he's no longer the Tyson of old. But I still give credit to Mike Tyson because Mike Tyson, in spite of his age, 58 years old, Jake Paul wasn't even able to knock him out. And I feel like, that says a lot about Jake Paul. If he can't even knock out an old Mike Tyson, who's a shell of who he was, a distorted version of who he was. If Jake Paul couldn't knock him out, then that says that Jake Paul doesn't really have what it takes to be an elite boxing champion at this level. He has never had any amateur background. He has never fought any elite established fighters on his level. Not his level, but his age. Somebody elite at his age. What about him fighting Tyson Fury? I mean, Tyson Fury's getting older, but yeah. What if we see a fight between Tyson Fury versus Jake Paul? But that's another subject. I feel like what happened with this boxing event, it was more of a circus, and it's basically trolling. It's a trolling event. It's basically making fun of the legends, the integrity of boxing, and these people don't have any credibility as far as being elite world boxing champions or have that pedigree of being in the amateurs and actually representing the integrity of boxing. They don't represent any integrity whatsoever. Like Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they don't represent any kind of integrity. What they do is exploit the integrity and the authenticity of the sport, and they take somebody like Mike Tyson, troll him, and exploit his resume and use that as a way for them to climb the ladder. And I feel like that's a cheat code. It's basically a cheat code because what they're doing is they're not really fighting any young, hungry, established champion that actually accomplished something and beating them at their age. What they're using is has-beens or people who are no longer in their prime, or great legends like Mike Tyson, who's no longer in his prime, and just using his name for clout to build their resume and to build their resume based on that, on a lower level of status. Like they can't beat somebody on a level that's when they're in their prime. Jake Paul cannot beat somebody when somebody's in his prime in that weight class that's established and a real boxer with real boxing pedigree, with amateur experience and accomplishments in the ring. That's when I'll say Jake Paul deserves credit. But right now, I just think he's using his influence to get what he wants, and he's disrespecting the sport of boxing. Jake Paul and Logan Paul are a disgrace. They're disrespecting the sport of boxing. And Eddie Hearns and Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they don't get along. They do not get along, but they do business together. And I feel like when it comes to boxing in Puerto Rico is way ahead of Ireland. Ireland is not even in the top 20 or in the top 10. If you look at the list of champions per capita, Puerto Rico outperforms every other country, despite Puerto Rico being an unincorporated territory of the United States. They still outperform any other country. They produce more world champions per capita than any other country. Yeah, considering considering the fact that Puerto Rico is actually smaller, but they actually produce more world champions than all the other countries. It says a lot about Puerto Rico. If Puerto Rico was the same size as the United States, Mexico, United Kingdom, Japan, I feel like all these countries produce great champions, but you need to give credit to Puerto Rico as a whole as boxing's most productive world champions. They produce the most as far as per capita. And they got United States produces like 466. It says 466 world champions already. 164 for Mexico, and United Kingdom 108, Japan 89, and Puerto Rico 60 plus. But they have Puerto Rico as 50, but they got the numbers wrong, and it's not as accurate as it should be, that list. But Puerto Rico has 60 plus world champions. So you compare that with Japan, 89. Japan is a lot bigger. And you compare that with United Kingdom, 108. It's still a bigger country, and they still not so far ahead of Puerto Rico, considering Puerto Rico's size. So Puerto Rico has established a lot more than any other country per capita, more world champions per capita. And I feel like that Puerto Rico's being undermined because they exploiting the tax exemptions of Puerto Rico. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they live in Puerto Rico, and they actually promote Amanda Serrano. Not they, but Jake Paul promotes Amanda Serrano, but he's not really helping Puerto Rican boxing. He's actually trolling. If you really look at it, he's using Amanda Serrano as a scapegoat to make it seem like he's helping Puerto Rico and Puerto Rican boxing, when he's actually undermining Puerto Rico by exploiting the tax exemptions. He's taking advantage of it because he benefits from the tax exemptions of Puerto Rico as an outsider, but Puerto Ricans don't benefit from those laws of Act 60. So he's acting like he's saving Puerto Ricans, like Christopher Columbus. He's trying to do the savior thing, like that he's helping Puerto Rican boxing, when he's really not, because he has Amanda Serrano on his undercard, and he didn't do anything to make sure that those judges and Eddie Hearn's influence doesn't impede in her success. That's what he didn't prevent that from happening. He allowed the Eddie Hearn's influence to override with the judges and make sure that and ascertain that Katie Taylor wins the fight, even though she didn't win the fight. It was so obvious that Katie Taylor lost that fight. She lost the first fight and the second fight. So this is boxing business, and this is all about influence. Eddie Hearns has more influence than Jake Paul. Jake Paul has influence for himself. That's MVP promotion is going to make sure that they allow Jake Paul to benefit the most from his content and the fights that he chooses. And I feel like they picked the old Mike Tyson that's not in his prime to make himself look better based on Mike Tyson's resume. And I feel like despite Amanda Serrano being on his undercard and he promotes Amanda Serrano, he's not really doing anything great for Puerto Rican boxing or Amanda Serrano. Like, he's making Amanda Serrano's name more global, but at what expense? To not defend his fighters from corruption and biased judgment on giving the fight to Katie Taylor, because Eddie Hearns basically ascertained that his boxer gets the fight no matter what. Even if she loses, he's going to make sure that his boxer is protected, that they continue winning, that his boxer continue winning. Katie Taylor was protected by Eddie Hearns, and this guy, Jake Paul, didn't do anything about the corruption. He's just basically saying, oh, I'm promoting Amanda Serrano. I'm giving her a bigger platform, giving her more global viewership. And at what expense, though? So that Jake Paul allows Amanda Serrano to lose to Katie Taylor when Katie Taylor definitely didn't win that fight. That was a robbery. Katie Taylor did not win that fight. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to my channel, Tony Also Knows Boxing. I love people tuning in, giving me all the comments. Whether you agree with me or not, you're still watching me. I'm entertaining you. So it doesn't matter what you feel or what you believe, but the people that really side with me, they side with the truth, and they're not biased. And my fans that tune into my channel, they're on my side. The ones that are on my side, they speak for truth and justice, and they actually support the honesty and the integrity of my opinion or my facts. Because based on what I'm saying, everything that I'm saying is based on research, and I actually do my homework. And there's a lot of boxing politics behind the scenes. It's very sinister, but I feel like a lot of people are not gonna always agree with what I'm saying. They're gonna always resort to insults, but they have a low IQ. If you're gonna resort to insults and try to undermine what I'm saying as factual, then you're just a person that just wants to like undermine people, and you have a low IQ, and you don't have any substance to back up what you're saying. And I feel a lot of people that resort to insults, they have a insecurity problem. Like, you know, if you're gonna insult somebody, don't do things like without reasons. You have to have a reason to like to disagree with somebody. You don't just insult somebody and don't give your facts to prove that I'm wrong. Give me some facts to prove that I'm wrong. But a lot of people that resort to insults, they have a lot low self-esteem, and they're tuning into my live. So I feel like I'm entertaining you. Anyone who's insulting me, I'm actually entertaining you, and I'm doing something constructive with my time and giving people some great content that they need to see. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, that's your prerogative. But if you're gonna resort to insults, that means that you don't have the IQ to actually go to a debate with me or a conversation with me in a constructive way. So you need to resort to violence, insulting, but that just shows a lot about your character. And I feel like a lot of my people that follow me, the ones that really truly follow me, are genuine, intelligent, eloquent people that they stand for truth, and that's those are the ones that I really love. And the ones that hate on me, I love too, because they inspire me to like never give up and continue putting out content for the masses. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Only the brave will subscribe to my channel. Only the ones that really appreciate honesty and integrity, which is a dying art form. Integrity is dying in this modern day era of AI, artificial intelligence. Now everything is artificial, and they're just trying to promote the artificial. Just like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they're promoting the artificial. Diddy took out Pac and Biggie and uh, Diddy took out Pac and Biggie and slut out Bieber. You know, I don't want to get into that because I know about all those conspiracy theories about Tupac. I think the government killed Tupac. The FBI, Edgar Hoover, COINTELPRO has always existed, and it still exists to this day. And I feel like there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes with the government, and they knew Tupac was a revolutionary, and that Tupac was a Black Panther, and he was marked for death since he was born. They were following him. The FBI, the police, they're all involved with the government strategy to make sure that they kill Tupac, because Tupac was speaking out against the government. The Rothschild was connecting to the Black Panthers. True. Yeah, yeah, he was a Black Panther, and his mother. Yeah, Mark Keelan. Yes, Mark Keelan. Yeah, Tupac. His mom was a Black Panther, and Tupac was already associated with the Black Panther, so he was blacklisted because by the government, the FBI, Edgar Hoover, the police, they were all in cahoots in actually assassinating him, and they used the gang situation to like undermine Tupac's movement and to make it seem more believable that he was murdered by gangs, because people are more likely to believe something like that because there's a gang problem in the Black and brown community. So they're gonna exploit those rhetorics to make it seem like that he was killed by gang violence when he was killed by the government. He was assassinated. He wasn't killed. He was assassinated because Tupac was a leader, and the FBI targets leaders like Tupac, Malcolm X, Pedro Albizu Campos, and they undermined them with Edgar Hoover, who was the one that started that COINTELPRO movement. So anyway, Yeah, my wife don't want me to talk about politics anymore, so I'm gonna respect it for now. I gotta respect it. So yes. So yeah, you asked the question, Mas- Master Keefin. I just wanted to answer your question. I wanted to be respectful. Everybody that wants to get informed information, you're gonna get it from Tony. Also, check out my music on Spotify, Pandora, Tony. Also, Unite the Tribes. I got 3 albums. Just check out my music. I sing and I rap, and I appreciate everybody tuning in. Yeah, 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 man. I gotta keep it real. I gotta be honest and authentic. And a lot of people are afraid and they don't want me to be real. So people that subscribe to my channel, they're brave, they're real, they're honest, they have integrity, they're a dying breed. The people that subscribe to my channel. So subscribe to my channel. Don't be afraid. Tony also knows boxing. If you want to know more about me, check out my music, check out my TikTok, check me out everywhere. I got new albums coming out this next year, 2025. But yeah, I feel like boxing, the integrity of boxing is being disrespected and undermined, and I feel like there's a lot of like variables of what people want, what people want to receive and what people don't want to receive. Like there's a lot of people out there that like this influencer, YouTube influencer, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and they think that it's good for boxing. But if you really look at it, it's not really good for boxing because real boxing fans really enjoyed the undercard of the boxing event of Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul because they feel like they were robbed of a real authentic even match with Tyson and Jake Paul because if you look at it, he's 58 years old and Jake Paul couldn't even finish or knock out a 58-year-old guy that's a shell of himself. He's not the same Tyson that we knew of the 80s and the 90s. 90s he was declining, but he was still, good enough to probably beat a Jake Paul in the 90s, if you ask me. But I feel like everything is all about business. After the fight, Jake Paul, like Tyson approached. They asked Tyson about would you fight Logan Paul, and he said, that they didn't ask him that. They said, what are you gonna do with your career? And Mike Tyson, he said, are you finished? He says, no, I'm not finished. He said, who would you want to fight? And he said, I would like to fight Logan Paul, maybe, possibly. He said that to, I'm just paraphrasing. And then Jake Paul was like, I'll effing kill you. Like these people are not about integrity at all. They didn't struggle. They didn't even fight in the amateurs. They're using and exploiting legends like Mike Tyson, who actually accomplished something in his career and is very respected. But I feel like they're disrespecting the integrity of sports and boxing. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. So it's like artificial intelligence is overriding and overruling everything. Because if you even try to find out information that's real, you got to look it up in a PDF file. Google's controlled and is very limited now. Now you can't find real information like the way you used to. Now you have to really get a book or you have to get a PDF file. But yeah, a lot of stuff is information is controlled for monetary gain. They monetize everything for financial gain, but it's not authentic. It's artificial. They want to control the narrative of what you know and what you don't know. So I feel like right now it's the era of trolling, artificial intelligence, uh, transhumanism, connecting technology with biology. Everything is an algorithm of what makes the most money, and they control information and make it about artificial intelligence that gains money for like big companies, and it's not about authenticity anymore. It's about how much money you can make, how many views you could get, but it doesn't have to be authentic. Artificial intelligence is in effect, and this is the part of the new world order. We've been social distancing since a long time, since we had phones and technology. It started way before the pandemic. But anyway, I don't want to get too political, but I feel like boxing is politics, is all business. And I feel like this fight with Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor um, is basically a form of colonization. Basically, Jake Paul saying, I promote Amanda Serrano and I'm giving her global exposure at the expense of not protecting her if there's any corruption and there's any a fighter is going to be favored over her. Like Eddie Hearn's fighter, I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm just going to allow it to happen and let the boxing politics take place. Eddie Hearns is going to protect this fighter, Katie Taylor, and they're not allowing Puerto Ricans to win. They're not giving Puerto Ricans any kind of hope to win. They have global exposure for Amanda Serrano. She's the 7-time world champion and the first undisputed champion of Puerto Rican descent, male or female. But I just feel like if you're gonna undermine and disrespect Amanda Serrano by allowing corruption to prevail and to remain prevalent, so a fighter like Katie Taylor wins when she doesn't deserve to win, then you're not really doing a good service for Puerto Ricans and Puerto Rican boxing if you're doing that. You're just allowing the boxing business and politics to continue. And as long as you look good and you look great, Jake Paul and Logan Paul, that's all you guys care about. You don't care about if Amanda looks great. You try to make it. You try to give the perception, the false illusion of Amanda Serrano being helped by Jake Paul because you're giving her all the exposure with your promotion, but you're not really helping or doing anything great for boxing in Puerto Rico or Puerto Rican boxers. You're exploiting the tax exemptions of Puerto Rico, Act 60, and you live in Puerto Rico because you don't respect the culture. You just exploit the not the culture, but the resources of Act 60 because it benefits you in your pocket. It doesn't benefit the locals in Puerto Rico. So you're actually doing the same thing that artificial intelligence likes to do. This is artificial intelligence without even saying it or elaborating on it. But I'm elaborating on it. I feel like everything that you're seeing now is fictitious. It's just making it seem like they're doing something great for the public because Netflix has 296 million viewership, so people don't pay a lot of money for Netflix. But you're saying that you're giving boxing people great content and good boxing at an affordable price. The only thing that was good about that event was the undercard. Bruce Shoo Shoo Carrington, Amanda Serrano, but that was a robbery. So you still robbed the fans. And then the quality of Netflix wasn't great. It was an outage or whatever they want to call it. But it was the first time that Netflix was providing a boxing event. They've done it with football already. Now they're doing it with boxing, but they didn't give us any quality. They didn't give us quality, and I feel like it was a disservice because they allowed Amanda Serrano to get robbed 2 times already. This happened twice. In the first fight, Amanda Serrano won the fight clearly. Clearly, she landed the more effective punches, Amanda Serrano. And then in this rematch, despite Amanda Serrano having a big cut on her eyebrow because Katie Taylor's a dirty fighter. She intentionally headbutted her. So that was obvious. And she did that to see if she could have a momentum and an advantage over Amanda Serrano. Because let's get it straight. Puerto Rican boxing pedigree is way bigger than Ireland. Ireland has accomplished 17 medals in boxing, but they don't even put the amount of champions that they have because they didn't have that many champions, world champions. I remember McCullough. I remember, what's his name? Josh Taylor. There's a few fighters, right? But they don't have a long pedigree of boxing history like Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has 60 plus world champions and the most world champions per capita. A small island like Puerto Rico of 3.2 million has 60 plus world champions. They have the wrong number on the list. They said 50. That's wrong. They don't even get the numbers right. But I don't think it's totally accurate. But Puerto Rico's number 5 in most boxing world champions per capita. But Puerto Rico should be number 3 or number 4 because they got the numbers wrong. But I feel like in boxing, Puerto Rico, is really on top of their game, but they don't have the promotion that they should get because there's a lot of things going on in Puerto Rico politically that doesn't allow them to actually flourish because we don't control the variables in business. So that's what affects Puerto Rico as an unincorporated territory. So yeah, check out my music if you want to know more about that. And I got a lot of music. I got an R&B, Afro beats, salsa, a little bit of house music. I do everything. I rap and I sing. So subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. Tony also knows boxing. Tony also knows boxing. Don't be afraid to click that like button. Don't be afraid to subscribe to my channel. I give you the quality, the unadulterated truth, integrity at its best. A dying breed. I'm a dying breed. I'm Generation X. We're not even represented in politics because we go against the grain. We go against the establishment because the establishment, we seen how all the revolutionary movements worked out in the 60s, the Black Panthers, the Young Lords, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. We were part of that, the baby boomers. Like, we learned from the baby boomers, my mother's generation, God rest her soul. The baby boomers was the quiet generation. They didn't want to speak up too much. They wanted to be politically correct. And sometimes I bump heads with my mother, but she finally agreed with me before her passing on a lot of things, and I have a lot of beautiful moments with her. And I'm dedicating my album to her. The Essence of Who I Am is coming out next year. But the baby boomer generation was the generation that was more politically correct, and it's the generation that's represented in politics. And generation the millennials are actually represented in politics as well. They're involved, but you never had a Generation X president. We never had one. And the reason why is because we're underrepresented. They call us the forgotten generation. And because we had to fend for ourselves and do things on our own, our parents had to make ends meet and had to work. And a lot of times we were left by ourselves and we had to be babysitted by somebody. And we had to actually experience real things and survive. We're the survival generation. And we created a lot of the technology that the Generation Z actually enjoy to this day. But I feel like, my generation millennials and the baby boomer generation are the most represented in politics. But Generation X is the revolutionary generation. They undermine us. They don't want us represented because we know the truth. We have knowledge from the baby boomers, from that generation, and the millennials, and the Generation Z, which they don't have any wealthy people in Generation Z yet because it's the new generation. But they have people that are wealthy in Generation X, baby boomers, and millennials. But I feel like the millennials relate to the Generation X in a lot of ways because they respect the knowledge that we have. A lot of the millennials. I'm not gonna attack the millennials because I know there's a good portion of them that actually respect the truth and stand for what's right. And shout out to my brother-in-law Giovanni. Yeah, he's a millennial and he respects the knowledge of Generation X because we have an abundance of knowledge from all these generations. That we acquired the knowledge because we saw the shift in the generations in the political world and the government. We saw the shift. We see how the government is trying to control information right now even more with technology. It's like mass surveillance. We're under mass surveillance. I said a lot, but I feel like this fight right here, the only thing good about this undercard, it was the undercard. The only thing that was really great was the undercard. I think they could have put more is like more elite fighters on the undercard fighting other elite fighters, but there was a competitiveness in the Barrios fight with the Ramos. I think the guy's name was Ramos. I think there was a competitiveness there in that fight, and I feel like Bruce Shushu Carrington is the truth, and he's only gonna get better with time. He's only gonna get better with time. Bruce Shushu Carrington, check him out from Brownsville, Brooklyn. The guy is the real deal. And I feel like he's just gonna get better. I think he has 13 fights now, and he deserves to fight for a world championship and maybe 3 more fights. I feel like he's making a name for himself. He's still like growing, and the Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor fight was a good fight, but I feel like we was robbed. There's a black eye for boxing because the corruption and politics of business and boxing prevailed once again, and I feel like it's robbing the fans. They're not really doing anything good. But MVP Promotions is trash. They're exploiting the influential background of Jake Paul, Logan Paul, and they're acting and portraying like they're actually giving you good quality when they're really not. Because at the expense of giving you quality with the minimal quality that they gave us with the undercard, they're gonna rob and give you a fight that was not a justifiable decision. They give the decision to the fighter that didn't deserve the victory. Like in this case, Katie Taylor, she did not deserve the victory over Amanda Serrano. She did not. She This is a black eye for boxing, and I feel like Puerto Rican boxing is rich. They're rich in boxing. The heritage of boxing in Puerto Rico as a whole and the culture is so rich. It's so rich. Ireland is not even touching the pinky of Puerto Rico when it comes to like established champions and world champions as a whole. They don't have the same pedigree. They have 17 medals in boxing. Puerto Rico has 12 medals, but Puerto Rico is a way smaller country, unincorporated territory, really, than Ireland. And still, in spite of that, we're still richer in boxing culture, in boxing pedigree as a whole, because we don't have any advantages. We don't have any technology outside as far as like America and England, UK, all these other countries, and we still like produce more champions per capita than any other country. We're outdoing any other country as an unincorporated territory. But they want to undermine Puerto Rico. They don't want Puerto Ricans to win. You know, Eddie Hearns, he's a snake. Like he's always going to protect his investments. If you study the game, he had Katie Taylor is signed with Eddie Hearns, and every time Eddie Hearns fighter Katie Taylor fought Amanda Serrano headbutted. Not Amanda Serrano. Katie Taylor headbutted Amanda Serrano in both of the fights. Like that, she fought dirty, and then Katie Taylor is signed under Eddie Hearns, and Eddie Hearns made sure that she won the fight when she didn't win the fight. And then when Subriel Matias, he signed a multi-fight deal with Eddie Hearns. He signed the multi-fight deal. It wasn't an exclusive deal, but Liam Paro is signed exclusively to Eddie Hearns. So Eddie Hearns made sure that before they fought in the contract, Subriel Matias had to lose. He can't try to win the fight because the deal was to give Subriel Matias major pay-per-view exposure in Puerto Rico and be the headliner in his first headlining fight in Puerto Rico, Subriel Matias, which he knocked out the guy that he fought, Ramirez. So I feel like this is boxing politics. Eddie Hearns is going to protect his fighter like he did with Liam Prado and he did with Katie Taylor. They don't want the Puerto Ricans to win. Puerto Ricans need help when it comes to boxing because we don't have control of the variables. We don't have major exposure as far as like as a whole in boxing business. So we have to start somewhere with somebody else. So Amanda Serrano should start our own boxing promotion, and that would help us move forward when we have our own control of our variables in boxing as a promotion. But we don't have that. So big promotions exploit smaller promotions in Puerto Rico that are not as established as UK promotion or American promotion. So they exploit Puerto Ricans and they throw them through the slaughter. But they have to agree to the terms in the contract. So that's why Subriel Matias couldn't beat Liam Prado. It's not that he's not better than him. He's better than him. But he couldn't try. It was part of the deal that he had to sign that since he's not an exclusive deal with Matchroom, he had to not try to win the fight at the expense of getting more exposure and pay-per-view in Puerto Rico and being a headliner. This is boxing politics. And Subriel Matias has alluded to that in an interview, that if you're under a boxing promotion and you're Puerto Rican, they're going to exploit you to make the fighters from a bigger promotion look bigger and actually progress in their careers. That's the way it is, boxing business. Subscribe to Tony Also Knows Boxing. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to give you the unadulterated truth. And, I'm not afraid to speak that truth and that fire that people want to know about, because this is a dying breed. This is a dying art form. Telling the truth is a dying art form. A lot of people don't want to, people in power don't want the truth to come out. So when you have a platform like YouTube and you have your own control over your narrative, you don't have to worry about people in elite status stopping you from saying the truth, because what they're afraid of is that you stop their business and their business doesn't flourish because you're exposing the truth. So the truth doesn't benefit elite people in power because it stops their money. It stops them from actually exploiting the narrative of artificial information so they can make money. Artificial information makes a lot of money for elite people in power in government, but when you're at the bottom, you have to start somewhere. So my channel's gaining a lot of traction, a lot of subscribers, because I'm giving people constructive, real information that is good for your mind, good for your soul, and all the frequencies are distorted in music, so that way they can control and militarize music as a weapon to control the population and actually benefit big corporations and big industry people, decision makers, etc. So yeah, check out my music, Tony Also, on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, all major platforms, if you want to know more about me and you appreciate my content and the truth that I'm giving. But I apologize to all my fans for not being able to show you more footage or live or complete footage of the fights, because Netflix had problems with the streaming. It was the first time they were streaming a boxing event, and they're capitalizing on it because it's affordable, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people are not getting the quality they deserve. Like, they give you semi-quality on the undercard, but the main event, the integrity of the boxing sport is being threatened by, you know, influencers, YouTubers that haven't been through anything, and they didn't even have to struggle or start from the bottom. Like, they're not appreciating the process anymore. Like, back in the 80s and the 90s, they didn't have all these rhetorics. Like, we wasn't controlled by artificial intelligence or the technology of the government. And, you know, right now, the technology and everything that they have in the variables of the economics, they control everything. The European Union, they control everything for the Anglo dominance. And they basically control the narrative that makes the most money for big corporations, elites, and people like influencers like that. They're actually working in cahoots with the political paradigm of Donald Trump. You know, the PNP party, all that in Puerto Rico is a Republican party. They're trying to blame one party for the situation in Puerto Rico when both parties were selling Puerto Rico. Democrat and Republican were selling Puerto Rico to outsiders who are not Puerto Rican. So yeah, that's another video and another story. But I feel like the information is not genuine, and this is how they make money. And the information in the narrative is to benefit big corporations, influencers, and they're not doing you a good service by giving you semi-quality in the undercard. It's semi-quality because it's not elite fighters fighting elite fighters. It's one elite prospect fighting a fighter that not many people know about or is not really established. And I feel the competitiveness was good with the Barrios fight, but I just feel like these are like lower echelon fighters. They're great fighters as far as like heart and determination, but we want to see elite status on all levels. And I feel like the only people that were elite for the big corporations and to make money was Jake Paul. And Mike Tyson Mike Tyson, he's elite, but he comes from the bottom. He represents the common people that struggle in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and any hood in America. They can relate to that story because Mike Tyson he started from the bottom. Like he didn't grow up with his parents. He went through a lot of adversity. He was homeless in Brooklyn, New York, in the real Brooklyn, you know, and he survived so much. And he's like an embodiment of surpassing your obstacles and rising from the bottom. So a lot of people that still struggling to this day, he gives them hope. But what he did right there, he showed us that he's all for the money. And, you know, a lot of people are for the money. And Mike Tyson, he's tarnishing his legacy. I still think his legacy is intact because the smart consumer and the smart people, they think outside the box. They say, well, you know, Tyson, that's not the Tyson that we knew, that we grew up watching. So we still respect his legacy. But the people in corporate, they undermine the people like the everyday common people that come from the struggle, like people of color or anybody that struggle. It don't matter. If you come from the bottom, you could be white, black, brown, whatever race. If you come from the struggle, you come from the struggle. You part of us. But in the government system, they definitely want to undermine people of color because that is where most people are suffering and struggling. But there are people that are coming out of that, like Mike Tyson, Tupac, but then the government makes sure that they undermine you. They actually keep you at a lower perception. They try to take the respect away from you by trolling you and using somebody like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, to make the people of elite status look better and like the saviors of people like us. When we don't need a savior, we can save ourselves, but we don't control the variables. We don't control the economics. So we keep being exploited by the European Union, the United States government, and people in elite status. They keep undermining and exploiting people of color or people at the bottom, whether regardless of race. So I feel like the majority that are in the lower echelon in the economic status are minorities. Well, we're no longer going to be minorities, but we're a threat to the establishment. So we're growing, but they want to keep us under the rhetoric of what's right for America and the Anglo dominance of the European Union. So, that's a long story, but they want to definitely control the narrative where the Anglo market is controlled by the elite, people in power like Jake Paul. Like, they want to represent that level of success, not somebody rising from the bottom, like a person of color, like Mike Tyson. They don't want to represent them in a good way. They always want to represent anybody that comes from the bottom in a bad way. And the narrative is always like, oh, you need us. You need the Anglo-American elite status to save you and make you go to the next level. And it shouldn't be like that. It's unfair. I feel like it's very unfair. And they should give everybody equal opportunity to be successful and control the narrative. But America doesn't want nobody else to control the variables because they feel threatened, and they try to label somebody a communist if they want to be on independent sovereign status, controlling the variables. They want to like undermine any other nation and impose the foreign policy of the United States so the United States can remain in power. And one more thing I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna say something real. A lot of people don't like people that are afraid of the truth and they don't want our people to be liberated. They want to stop somebody like me because somebody like me is giving you informed information. The Atlantic slave trade in Puerto Rico, the Caribbean, Latin America was bigger than in America. It was 12.5 million. Why do you think there's so many black Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, and Latin Americans? Because they wanted to keep the African American population away from America, because not all of the Africans were enslaved in the United States. A lot of them were already here already. A lot of the African Americans were indigenous and original to America. There was only 500,000 slaves in the Atlantic slave trade in America, 500,000. But what the Anglo-American slave trade, Europeans, the Portuguese and the Spanish were the main ones. Spain, not Puerto Rico, not because Puerto Rico is mixed with African, Indian, and Spanish. The Europeans are Portuguese, French descent, and Spanish descent, and English. They were all responsible for the Atlantic slave trade, and they made sure that they kept a lot of the black slaves in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba, Latin America, 12.5 million African slaves. And they made sure that they kept a lot of the African black skinned people in all those places instead of America, because America only had 500,000 slaves in comparison to 12.5 million of Latin America and the Caribbean. So they did that deliberately because they want to take America for themselves. They want to take America for themselves. United States. Anyway, I said too much. My wife don't like when I get too real. I feel
Tony
like
also
people.
knows boxing needs to stick to boxing.
Tony also knows boxing.
TikTok. Follow me on TikTok for all that.
Okay, it correlates with what's going on.
Yeah, but Tony also knows boxing should be boxing.
Tony also knows boxing. Okay, I know boxing, but I correlate the paradigm of the economics with what's going on in boxing. See, she's trying to stop me. She voted for Trump. She voted for Trump. Anyway, look, she voted for Trump. Trump is all about the financial capital and exploiting Puerto Rico's tax exemptions and stealing money from Puerto Rico.
Go to TikTok for more of Tony's content.
All right. If you want to check out my content, yeah, Amanda was robbed, Jennifer. You're right. Jennifer, you're right. I'm glad that you see it. A lot of people see it. But I needed to explain the political paradigm and economics of the influence of what they want to promote, artificial intelligence. They want to promote that kind of success.
Tony talks politics, but he didn't even vote. So don't talk politics.
You know why I didn't vote? Because it's controlled. Because a label called No Labels voted for Donald Trump.
Take it to TikTok.
All right, you want to make me look bad?
Tony also Tony also needs
to know why I didn't vote?
Am I
you
right?
know why I didn't vote?
Who's watching?
You know why I didn't vote? Because it's controlled. Because it's a banking system. They already decided who's going to be the president. A label called No Labels, a third party, picked Donald Trump. I found this out 2 years before the election, that they were going to pick Donald Trump because he's the face of the financial capital. And that's what's going on. He's the face of the financial capital. He's exploiting the tax exemptions of Puerto Rico, and he's going to, and plan Project 2025 is a lot of things connected to that, where your rights are going to be denied. You're not going to be able to protest. They're going to arrest you if you protest. He's going to have direct control as a president. Not like before. So it's a political system of the government. They choose which political party is going to be. The banking system of Woodrow Wilson was established so the United States doesn't go bankrupt. That's why Woodrow Wilson signed it in 1913, the political system of Democrat and Republican. But I don't want to talk about that no more. But this is the truth. Everything has an economic variable behind it. So this is boxing is controlled as well. There's a lot of political stuff, sinister stuff. When it comes to money, they control the narrative and they control what's going to make money, and they're going to make sure they profit off of the artificial intelligence, make people believe that he's doing something good for Puerto Rican boxing, like, Jake Paul, but he's really not. He's really not. This is how they deceive people. The smart consumer sees past that, or the smart person that thinks outside of the box sees past what the illusion that they're trying to convey with the boxing promotion. We're doing something good for the consumer. We're giving them a good fight on Netflix. It's cheaper, yeah, but they're not giving you quality. They're not giving you total quality. They're controlling the narrative. They're making it seem like they're helping Amanda Serrano. What good is it helping Amanda Serrano get exposure if you're gonna allow her to get robbed by Katie Taylor? What good is that? You're not really doing something good. You're being double-minded. You're doing stuff to control the narrative, make yourself look good. Jake Paul is making himself look good at the expense of making us look bad, black and brown. And I feel like it's all business. It's all business. Mike Tyson has the legacy. He has the pedigree. He has the resume. So they're going to use the resume, and they're going to use a fighter that's not the same as the way he was in his prime. Mike Tyson, he's a former version of himself. And the guy, he couldn't breathe. You saw him. You saw him go in the corner. He was losing his breath right away. I know that all of this is for money. And Mike Tyson wanted to fight Logan Paul afterwards, and Logan Paul said, "I will kill you." I'm like, this is a disrespect that they're showing to legends, and Tyson is allowing it because he's influenced by the capital, the financial capital. He's tarnishing his image on a corporate level, but the people that really know what Tyson was all about in his heyday, we see him for what he is. He's a legend. But the people that control the variables of economics and business, they're making us look like fools, or they're making us look like we're irrelevant, like we're not that we need them. They're sending a message right there. There's a message. There's a subliminal message. I see a direct message because I think outside of the box. But some people, they don't see this. They don't see the narrative that they're portraying to make the people in elite status, influential status, look good because they are the European, the people that they want people to see as the level to go to success is to go through them. And it's not right. It's another form of capitalism. And I feel like you shouldn't undermine anyone, regardless of where they're from. You should give everybody a fair shot to be successful. And I feel like Amanda Serrano, I don't know, this is just my hypothesis. I think Amanda Serrano, she could start her own boxing network because she was already promoted by Jake Paul and she has a significant amount of fans. So she should do something good for Puerto Rican boxing as a whole. And hopefully she could control the narrative and the rhetoric and make it more not about rhetoric, but about authenticity and giving people the quality that they need. Because quality is missing, the authenticity of boxing and authenticity of everything in general in mainstream is lost. They're not showing that on mainstream TV. And boxing is the underdog sport. It's the sport of the poor man that comes from the bottom, that has no other options. He either goes in the streets and commits crime, or he goes into boxing, or get into a basketball program, which they took out the basketball program. But I feel like the boxing program, they still have some of them in the ghetto, and that gives people that are impoverished an opportunity to not get into any crime, any violence. And that is the hope for a lot of people that come from impoverished communities and all over the ghetto, all worldwide, Chicago, New York, California, UK, wherever, like Latin America, Mexico. So it gives us an opportunity that start from the bottom to become successful. And they're trying to undermine that. They're trying to make it all about money. Look at Edgar Berlanga. He's another one. I respect Edgar Berlanga as a person, but I don't like what he does behind the scenes, because I know somebody, Patrick Cora, he's a boxer prospect. He's way better than Berlanga, but they're not signing him. He's a black Puerto Rican. He's 100% Puerto Rican, and he's 10-0 with 7 KOs, and he's very, very talented, has power, has boxing skills, and they're not giving him the promotion, and he's friends with Berlanga, and Berlanga undermining him, disrespecting him. I don't know what happened, but he told me that he don't talk to Berlanga no more because Berlanga disrespected him, and I feel like that's wrong, because he's all about respect. If you're about respect, you don't care about how much money somebody makes. And I feel like Berlanga, just because he has money, he wants to undermine Patrick Cora. And I feel like as a Puerto Rican, he should stick together with him. But when it comes to money, that people sell out. No, you know what? Anyway. I said what I had to say. I speak the truth. And I speak for justice. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. My wife did. I didn't vote for him. All right, I take that back. She didn't vote for nobody, but she's saying that I didn't vote. She's just saying I didn't vote. So I'm like, you know what?
Stick to what you know. Stick to what
all
you know.
Right.
Stick to what he does.
I know a lot of different things. I don't know everything, but I know a lot of different things. And I feel like my boxing fans, the ones that really tune into my channel and really appreciate me, they want me to say the truth. They don't want me to lie. The ones that want me to not say anything are the phonies. Then anybody who's phony, get out of here. If you phony, you can't be in my live. You can't subscribe to my channel if you're phony. But if you're real and you want the information that's being denied from everybody, then you're going to tune into me. And if you want to find out more about me, check out my music on Spotify and Pandora. Tony Also, TonyAlso. Subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to give people the truth. Not trying. I'm giving people the truth. But the only way you're going to know about the essence of the truth and what the dying breed of the honesty and integrity of the population as a whole, you're going to subscribe to my channel. That's the only way you're going to know. That's one of the only ways, because there's other people doing great content out there as well. But a lot of people ain't doing stuff that I'm doing. I haven't seen anybody doing it like me. I want to shout out Vic Sports. He's doing his thing. He's doing a great thing for boxing. He has integrity. I like that brother. He's from Brooklyn, I think, like me, and he's doing great too. So I'm shouting him out. I'm gonna see if he shouts me out. But I'm showing love to the people doing great content. There's another one called Offensive Stance. I want to shout him out. He's also doing great content. I want to see more of his stuff. Like I haven't seen anything recent of him. I don't know if he's been posting, because usually I see whatever he posts when it's brand new, because I have the notifications. And Vic Sport. So check out me, Tony Also, on all major platforms. I got hip hop, R&B, Afro beats, salsa, house music. I got a famous dance artist gonna work with me on one of my songs, in the Essence of Who I Am album, coming out next year. And I also got another album by Red Moon Productions, Tony Also, Mi Patria is my country. I'm talking about what's going on in Puerto Rico in that album. I sing bomba, plena, a lot of traditional music from Puerto Rico, and I also rap. I rap a little bit in there too, like reggaeton, but mostly singing though. Traditional bomba, plena, Puerto Rico, just talking about what's going on. I don't want to say too much. I already said a lot, but I feel like this is me. Like, this is the essence of who I am. Honesty. My mother taught me that. So that's why I dedicate that album to her next year, coming out. Yeah, so check out all the people I mentioned. I'm not a person that's egotistical. Like if I see somebody doing great content out there, I'm gonna give them a shout out. I'm gonna show them love and I'm gonna show them appreciation because we gotta unite the tribes, man. We gotta unite the tribes, and it's I got love for everybody, white, black, brown, Latino, Chinese, everybody. I just don't like injustice. I don't like when somebody takes advantage of people that are less fortunate. Not want to say less fortunate, but that they don't have the economic control like somebody that is in that position. I feel like you should give people the opportunity to speak their mind and their truth, and it shouldn't be controlled by you just because you have money. And I feel like that's what's going on right now. But I feel like not feel I know, but everything that I know, I speak with passion behind it because I go so hard and it's a fervent, earnest, emotion behind it, but it's intelligent emotion. But I don't like the way the system is operating, the way business is operating. You can make money for telling the truth, but it's going to take a little longer. But I respect people that do it that way because they start from the bottom and they turn nothing into something without the help of the elite. You gotta give people like that credit because they're really surviving and they're really like rising above like the Arawaks, like the tribes, the indigenous people had to do. We had the odds against us and we was able to prevail, but we're still struggling because we don't control the economic variables. So I feel like authenticity is a dying breed, and Tony also knows boxing is giving you that authenticity. Subscribe to my channel if you're brave. If you're brave, you will subscribe to my channel. If you're not brave and you're scared and you're a coward, you're gonna just walk away. You're gonna be like, no, I'm used to people lying to me. I don't know about the truth. I don't want to see the truth. It offends me. Well, it's gonna offend you if you're not open-minded and you don't think outside the box. The truth is always gonna offend you if you're afraid of not making money, or you want to make money the easier way and you want to use the elite to get to the top. I understand why people would do that, but at the same time, there's not real independence in that. I feel like real independence is succeeding and surviving on your own terms, and it may take a little longer, but it's not impossible. Trust me, it's not impossible because my channel's growing and my subscriber count is growing because I'm giving people the quality that's missing in 95% of what's out there in the mainstream. Well, the mainstream is 99.1% fake, and some of it is true, some of it is not, but it's mixed with a lot of lies, distorted with a lot of lies. This is how they profit. So they have to use a little bit of truth and a lot of lies to make money. This is how they gain capital. They got to use a little bit of truth and a lot of lies to make money. They have to make it believable. But with me, I don't have to make it believable. It is believable because it comes from the source. It comes from the natural frequencies, the love frequency, 528, the DNA. We're connected to the planet. We're connected to the people. We got to take care of the land and the people. That's what God wants us to do. When you talk like that, a lot of people in church get really scared and weary because a lot of people now, not all, because there's maybe 5% of churches telling the truth, but 95% of them are lying, just indoctrinating people, and they're not really giving you the truth. They're not liberating you. They're controlling you with information that's not true. So you got to think outside the box. Seek until you find, and once you find, you will rule over the all. That's what it says in the Gospel of Thomas. God wants you to keep seeking knowledge until you reach the knowledge, but you never stop ceasing looking for the knowledge. You have to be infinity. You have to surpass. You have to be immeasurable. Like God. God is immeasurable. You can't measure God. So that's how we got to be immeasurable with knowledge and truth and surpass. That's how we rule over the all. Not that we're better than everybody. It's that we have the knowledge, that the secret knowledge that most people don't have or most people are afraid of. So, yeah, I'm giving you that knowledge, man. That's why you guys are tuning in. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. But yeah, this is a farce. This is a rhetoric for financial gain. And I feel like I have a love and hate relationship with boxing. I've always told people that because it's the truth. Like, I don't have to fake anything. I give you the truth, and I give you the unadulterated information that's free will. That's what God wants us to have, free will. Remember that. So a lot of people like me, they want to get rid of people like me because people like me are informing the population. The government doesn't want to inform population. They don't want a population that's informed. The more they can control the population, the more money they can make. It's an economic paradigm. Artificial intelligence. That's what they're doing. They're turning people into robots. They're trying to make people imitate what somebody could do naturally when you can never even give that same energy with something that's artificial. But they try to use that to try to make you insignificant and irrelevant. But they're not going to do that with me or anybody that's informed that, by what I'm giving them. They're going to always be thinking outside of the box and preparing for this new generation and this new era of artificial intelligence. But there is economic gain from it, but you got to use it wisely. Use it for your advantage, not for the overall establishment, advantage. But I love everybody that's tuning in. I appreciate that, and we have to speak truth to power. And I feel like boxing is losing the integrity that it once had, and the competitive fights are not being made on a level where you put somebody like okay, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. That was a good fight, but at the same time, we had a shell former version of Errol Spence. He got into that car accident, so I guess you could say it was good and bad. But the Canelo's fighting the fighters that he picks and chooses. Belanga, like somebody that had no experience fighting a champion. The Canelo was able to choose that for financial gain. He has his promotion. He's gonna promote the narrative, and the fighters are not really putting the best with the best. Look at Tank, Shakur Stevenson. Fighters like that, Shakur Stevenson and Tank, they should have been fighting already a long time ago. But they're not even making that fight happen. And Tank Davis is fighting fighters that are not even at the elite status as Shakur Stevenson. You know, I say Devin Haney, but not really. Devin Haney's he's elite, but you gotta say that Ryan Garcia he did cheat, but at the same time, Errol this guy Devin Haney has no chin, but still it's still a disservice to boxing when you cheat. You should fight fair and square. And Devin Haney versus Garcia, it should have been more on a even playing field when it comes to like not taking illegal substances and there's no more integrity. They're not doing the right thing for boxing. They're not allowing the authenticity and the quality of elite boxing to prevail. They're making it seem like it's elite boxing, but it's elite people benefiting, not elite, authentic boxers, at the level where they're both evenly matched. They're not doing that no more. They're not doing it no more. And I feel like it's a disservice to boxing. You know, with Ali Sheik is doing something good, but he's doing something bad because he's making big fights happen, but he's making the fights that big fighters like a fighter may be at a higher weight class, like Canelo Alvarez versus Bud Crawford. They're trying to promote stuff like that, but that's really a disservice to boxing because you're putting a guy that's way bigger than Bud Crawford to fight. It's like counterproductive for Crawford because there's a possibility that Crawford could win based on skills, but there's more of a possibility that Canelo could win based on his weight. Because there's weight classes for a reason. So it's like not really giving you the real quality that people really deserve. Make it even, make it make sense where it's even. But that fight right there, Crawford and Canelo, I think it's a disservice and it's disingenuous for real boxing fans. And it's just all about money. Like I said, it's all about money. But yeah, subscribe to my channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. You heard it from Tony Also himself. Check out my music on all major platforms. I'm promoting realness. And I know who my fans are. I know who my people are. And I love everybody, but I just don't like inequality. And I feel like all of us can unite as a whole, regardless of what race we are. But I just feel like there's great white people out there that want justice. There's more people that don't, but there's a lot of people, there's a good number of them that want justice for and equality for all of us. But I feel like we have to save ourselves, but we don't mind them joining with us because there are people as well because they want justice and truth to prevail, and we want everyone to be involved in the revolution for liberation for anybody of color, black, Latino, indigenous people all over the world. And even white people, because there's white people that are struggling and they live in impoverished communities and they're not represented as well. But at the same time, most of them favor the financial capital of capitalism, and it's a shame because it should be about humanity. It shouldn't be about money. It should be about what's right in God's eyes. God, Donald Trump is not God. Just because Donald Trump stole $20 billion from Puerto Rico because Puerto Rico is unincorporated, that makes him Christian. He's just using a narrative to get your votes and the perception. He's just monopolizing on the perception of what people think he's doing, but he's really not no Christian, and he's not really standing for justice. No political party, whether Democrat or Republican, is for God. The principalities of darkness operate in high places of government and authority. It says it in the Bible. So the political system has nothing to do with God. Maybe years ago, when Jesus was Yahashua was liberating the Jews, and in those days, yes, but now it's a banking system. It has nothing to do with God. So that's why the Bible says that the principalities of darkness operate in the government and authorities. So it's basically telling you, use wisdom. I already told you. You just have to think outside the box. So I just want to say to everybody, subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. And the integrity of boxing needs to be upheld. It needs to be upheld. And I have a love and hate with boxing in general. I have a love and hate relationship with boxing in general. But yeah, Tyson, he's just doing it for the money. I respect Tyson's legacy, and to me, the people that know boxing know that he's not tarnishing his legacy. But the people in the corporate that promote, that have control of variables, they're creating a narrative that Tyson's irrelevant based on Tyson, making Tyson look the way he did by using an influencer to embarrass a legend like Mike Tyson, which I feel like, Tyson didn't get knocked out, so Tyson still proved that Jake Paul is nothing special because he can't even knock out an old 58-year-old, which Tyson did look great, and his physical prowess and his condition was amazing. He's 58 years old. I admire for him to get in the ring, but I know what motivated him was money. I know a lot of people are motivated by money, but all money ain't good money. But I feel like if you sacrifice the perception of how people perceive your legacy, I feel like it's I wouldn't do it. I feel like I wouldn't do that, man, because I feel like I'm all about integrity, and it has to align with what I believe in. If I do something with somebody that's established, it has to align with what I believe in. So like I feel like a lot of people that we don't have a lot of leaders. They sell out for the financial capital, and I feel like boxing is no different than government, than capitalism. It's all the same. It's all business. It's all correlated with the banking system of the political system, Democrat, Republican. It's all a system for a banking system. They don't represent you. They represent the banking system. So if you want to know more about Tony also, check out my TikTok, check out my other content on YouTube, boxing content, where I just talk about strictly boxing. Every now and then I throw something political in there. I talk about my music. So check out my music, my YouTube channel. Check out my TikTok. I do a little bit of everything on TikTok. I give you live acapellas of me singing different songs for Mark Anthony, R&B groups like Next, different, hip hop stuff. And I also have political stuff. So, just check out all that content there, and subscribe to my channel, my boxing channel. Tony also knows boxing. I give you the truth. I give you the unadulterated facts. Check out my content. Subscribe to that channel if you're not afraid. Subscribe to my boxing channel. Tony also knows boxing. I appreciate and love everybody tuning in, and people that don't tune in, I feel like you will tune in, because whatever's meant to be is gonna happen, and my channel is growing because I'm not sacrificing the truth for nobody, and I'm not like most content creators. Most content creators, they just want to be accepted, and they'll do whatever's politically correct for the masses to get more views. But I get more views because I'm honest with my people and I'm honest with myself, and that's a reflection in the character of who I am. That's the character that everybody should have, that stands on independence and liberation. That's true freedom and liberation. Standing on your own and benefiting on your own principles, the righteous principles, on doing what's right and telling the truth. Tony also knows boxing. Subscribe to my channel. One love to everybody. I appreciate everybody. Gregory Adams, I appreciate you. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone here. Pastor Keefan, that was the realest I ever heard. They take them out. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right. They take them out. You know that. I'm telling you the truth, the unadulterated truth. One love to everybody. Subscribe to my channel. And shout out to everybody who's doing the real content. But I don't think anybody's doing it like me right now. I'm just being honest. Not being arrogant. I don't think anybody's doing it like me, but there's a lot of great content creators out there. There's a couple I can count. I can count right now. I give them nothing but respect. We all got a unique perspective and a unique way of representing our boxing content or whatever we talk about. We know how to target our audience, and I know who my audience is. Boxing content, real content. They love hip-hop. They love music. They love truth. No matter what race you are, they just love when somebody's fighting for justice, and they also love realness in the content, and they love the authenticity and pulling out the rug of the elite, the sinister behind the scenes. I don't want to get too deep because my wife would try to be like, stop, keep it boxing. I am, but I'm not one-dimensional. I'm giving you different facets that's connected with boxing. Boxing is not just what you see in the screen, it's business behind the scene. So, of course, I'm going to talk about the politics of it because it's all correlated. It's all connected. It's in conjunction. So, subscribe to my channel. Tony also knows boxing. I appreciate everybody. It was beautiful having you guys and you being part of my world. You are my family. Everybody that tunes in. And I got a lot of family people that are going to tune in soon because I know what I'm giving is what's needed. And I'm not afraid to be myself. And everybody should be the best version of themselves. I always give people that advice. Be the best version of who you are. Don't let nobody undermine or stagnate your growth or stop your progress or control the narrative of who you are. You control the narrative. Independence is the way. Real independence. One love. God bless you. One love to everybody. Subscribe to that channel. Tony also knows boxing. I'm going to give you the best. I got a love and hate with boxing. I have a love and hate relationship with boxing because I'm a man that stands on principles, on truth. And last night's fight with Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was another black eye to boxing. The only ones that did something good, 50-50 on Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. I think Amanda Serrano was pissed. She knew she wanted to fight, and she said, this is good for boxing, but at the same time, she was like that Katie Taylor has cheated in all her other fights. She's always headbutted. She was alluding to that. But her trainer was more direct. He was like that she's a cheater, that, she headbutted, But I feel like everybody made money. So they weren't going as hard as they should have because they put the money first. If you look at before the fight, when they were promoting it, they asked Amanda Serrano, who do you think is going to win? Mike Tyson was unanimous. It was 9-3 unanimous for Mike Tyson. That they said that he was going to win, right? But Amanda Serrano couldn't give an honest opinion. When they asked Amanda Serrano, who do you think is going to win? She goes, of course, Jake Paul. But she's doing that because he's the promoter. He's Amanda Serrano's promoter. So she can't even say the whole truth if she wanted to. But of course, if she's being promoted by Jake Paul, she's going to say Jake Paul's the one. That Jake Paul is the one that's going to win. But we all know that this is the business. And, Mike Tyson, he didn't get knocked out, but, his stamina, you could tell that he was losing his breath. But he still won the first round. I was able to see the first round. The second round I couldn't see because Netflix was freezing. So, Netflix, I'm ashamed of you. The female boxers was the best fight. I agree. It was, but then the result wasn't the best. So technically, it was the best, but it wasn't the best. Because if you look, on a competitive level, it was the best. But as the result of the fight, it was not the best. They robbed us. Jake Paul, MVP Promotions, the elite, they actually boxed us. They actually robbed us of an authentic, justifiable decision that Amanda Serrano should have got. I was supposed to leave, but you guys are getting me wired up over here. I feel the best fight was Bruce Shushu Carrington, but not really. But it was the most honest and the justifiable decision. He won by KO stoppage, but I feel like the most competitive fight was the female fight, Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor, and I feel that was the best fight. The best fight as far as the competitiveness. But Amanda Serrano, she outlanded Katie Taylor. She won that fight. It was like she almost knocked her out in the first round. She buckled and she hit Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor buckled, and if the ropes weren't there, she would have fell on the floor. She would have went down. But I feel like that was the best fight. Yeah, I can't lie. I just didn't like the result. The result wasn't the best, but the best fight of the card definitely was Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. Subscribe to that channel. Tony Also Knows Boxing. One love. I appreciate all you guys. Check out my music. I got more content coming up. One love. Where am I?